personally, moderation is being yourself without crossing the boundaries of others. That's personally. But in terms of philosophical wise, it's a balancing act between two extremes. It's a way to find a balance and a middle path between two extremes.
Of course, one of the things with social media is that people like to abuse it. Of course, they want to get attention. Therefore, that's why they come up with all sorts of statements just to attract attention. But we shouldn't give these people the space or the time for it. And perhaps maybe that's one way of moving forward. Like rather than focusing on what they say, if we just ignore them, then maybe they won't say it anymore.
Yeah, I mean, moderation has a lot to do with the character of a person. It not only just stands in a middle path, but I think it's navigating through that channel. It's about adapting to different environments and surrounding and being able to accept criticism, differences, and just acknowledging the different views, accepting one another despite their backgrounds, race, cultures.
Due to the rise of global extremism, especially the rise of religious extremism we've seen over the past 10, 15 years, as Samuel Huntington said, there's class of civilization, hence it creates a sphere of extremism and opposing fundamentals and clash of civilizations in a way. And of course the pace of globalization, the pace of change in our globalization makes our situation vulnerable and makes our situation more complex in a way where in a world of 7 billion people, it's hard to compromise in a way. Yeah.
The thing is, we kind of not only live in a place where things can be, that there are walls around us, but I think that if you provide space for people to talk about any issues, and I think people will just naturally just accept and acknowledge the ideas, and that is very important.
People need to be able to be accepting and understanding rather than closing themselves into a small shell and being very narrow-minded. Things like that would benefit greatly in the pursuit of moderation. I think education is the key, and it has to start from young, like from home. There's obviously things like this, they begin at home. So all these kind of ideas, they are perpetuated by maybe the environment, and the environment needs to change. So I think people need to be more inclusive and be able to talk about things, and also not to be so sensitive and be able to acknowledge like if they make mistakes and things like that.
Yeah.
Humility is the main thing. You're supposed to be humble. You'll be willing to be open-minded and be willing to compromise and find a solution. Nobody would have the dominating aspects of what they want. I think everyone has to find that space to compromise each other, to find inclusivity in it.
Laws are there in two ways. It's either it acts as a shield or a sword. In terms of a shield, laws are actually supposed to protect the people. But some ways that when it becomes implemented, it becomes a sword. It attacks the people instead. So that's how, when it comes to all this hate messaging in the social media, sometimes the laws kind of go against them in a way. So it kind of creates that, it kind of backfires back to the government or to whoever, because the people are just generating more hate. And when that happens, it just tends to explode.
The thing is, we need to be able to engage these people, and they may have their views, but they need to also be able to argue their views and sit there and have a dialogue to prove their point. But then the thing is, when they close themselves and don't allow that to happen, that's the problem. I mean, people are entitled to whatever views they want. It's freedom of speech. But they need to be able to argue back their points.
I mean, in terms of like terrorism or extremism, I think it's very important for you to not only listen to them, but also acknowledge their views. Not by just telling them, look, you're wrong. Because who are we to say that they're wrong? Are we smart enough?
Or to even shut them up because they are extreme.
Yeah. I mean, we can't just totally shut them up, because then they will go underground and you'll never see them. But then they might plan something forward that could be, destructive to society. So it's important for you to acknowledge their ideas as well, and just to say like, okay, maybe you have a different idea than mine. We have different views, but I'm not saying you're totally wrong. Like there are still sometimes the reason behind it is right. It's just the conclusion is wrong.
I think we shouldn't give these people the space and attention that they want, because that's what's happening nowadays on social media. People are just craving attention. You know, everyone can be their own publicist and try to bring themselves up, get themselves known, and these are one of the things that we need to deal with. Right?
Yeah.
I think the main reason of conflicts between people is because of imbalances between their in the position in their life, like their economic positions in their life or their social position in their life. When there's imbalances, there's bound to be conflicts.
It's more of maybe a class struggle rather than being a racial struggle. You know?
But class struggle is one of the struggles, one of the profound struggles.
Yeah, I mean, it displays a lot of the conflicts that occur around the world, even Arab states. It's because of that struggle. It's because of economic factors that plays an important role in why a lot of why conflicts are happening. Another thing is that it's important for our leaders, whoever they are, to think about national coherence, to fight for national coherence, not only for political gains, for example. I think that's also an important issue that needs to be tackled.